The research ship Prometheus moved through space like a silver needle, threading through black silk. Inside its gleaming hull, 50 women worked with quiet determination. They were scientists, engineers, doctors, and diplomats, the best humanity had to offer. Their mission was simple: establish the first major human research station in the galaxy. Dr. Elena Vasquez stood at the main lab window, watching the blue-green world of Kepler 442b grow larger. The planet sparkled with quantum crystal formations that jutted from its surface like frozen lightning. These crystals were the key to faster-than-light communication across the galaxy. Whoever controlled them controlled information itself. "The readings are incredible," Elena said to her assistant, Dr. Sarah Kim. "These crystals could revolutionize everything we know about quantum mechanics." Sarah nodded, her eyes bright with excitement. "The extraction efficiency we've calculated is 3 times better than anything the Draconians are using. We could change the entire galactic economy." At the ship's bridge, Commander Sarah Chen reviewed their approach vector one more time. She was a military engineer by training, but this was supposed to be a peaceful mission. The Galactic Empire had given them permission to establish their station. Everything was legal and proper. "Commander," called Lieutenant Maria Santos from the communication station, "we're receiving a standard greeting from the planet's automated systems." "All clear for landing," Sarah smiled. "Good. Signal the crew to prepare for orbital insertion." In the diplomatic quarters, Ambassador Maria Santos was finishing her final report to Earth. She had spent months negotiating this opportunity with the Galactic Council. Humanity was still new to galactic politics, having joined the Empire only 5 years ago. This research station would prove that humans deserved their place among the stars. "Personal log, Ambassador Santos." She spoke into her recorder. "Tomorrow we make history. These crystals will not only advance human technology, but show the galaxy that we're ready to contribute something meaningful. The women on this ship represent the very best of our species." The ship hummed with activity as the 50 women prepared for their historic landing. Dr. Lisa Wright worked on geological surveys. Engineer Captain Janet Clark tested mining equipment. Biologist Dr. Amy Foster studied samples they had already collected. Each woman was an expert in her field, chosen from millions of applicants across Earth. They had families waiting for them. Elena's husband David and their twin daughters. Sarah Chen's sister Lisa, who served in Earth's Space Navy. Maria's elderly parents, who had worked 3 jobs to put her through diplomatic school. These women carried the hopes and dreams of everyone they left behind. The Prometheus had just entered the planet's outer atmosphere when the sensors screamed a warning. "Commander," Lieutenant Santos's voice cracked with panic. Multiple contacts dropping out of hyperspace. Draconian signatures. Sarah Chen felt ice flood her veins. "How many?" 12 ships. Heavy cruiser class. They're powering weapons." On the main screen, the Draconian fleet materialized like death itself. The ships were dark and angular, designed to look as threatening as they were. Admiral Kethavar's flagship led the formation, its hull scarred from a dozen campaigns. Elena rushed to the bridge. "What's happening?" "We have authorization to be here." Sarah's hands flew over the controls. "Emergency transmission to Earth. Full upload of all research data and ship's logs." The first draconian energy blast struck the Prometheus like a giant's fist. The ship shuddered and alarms began wailing. Emergency lights bathed everything in red. "Shields down 60%, reported Lieutenant Santos. "They're jamming our communications." But Sarah had already triggered the quantum beacon. Hidden in the ship's core, an unbreakable message burst toward Earth at faster-than-light speed. Whatever happened next, humanity would know the truth. Admiral Kethavar's voice boomed over the ship's speakers. His translator made his words sound cold and mechanical. "Human vessel, you are trespassing in sovereign draconian space." "Prepare to be destroyed! That's impossible!" Elena shouted. "We have Empire authorization." Another blast rocked the ship. Sarah grabbed the communications panel. "All crew to emergency stations." This is not a drill. The women of the Prometheus had trained for emergencies, but not for this. They were scientists and diplomats, not soldiers. Still, they fought back with everything they had. Dr. Kim turned the geological scanners into makeshift weapons. Engineer Clark jury-rigged the mining equipment to fire concentrated energy bursts. In the cargo bay, a group of women barricaded themselves behind supply crates. Ambassador Santos used her diplomatic codes to try reaching the Galactic Council, but the Draconians were jamming everything. Why are they doing this? Dr. Foster asked, tears streaming down her face as she clutched a sample case. Elena knew why. The Draconians had seen their research data. They knew humans had found a way to extract quantum crystals more efficiently than any other species. It meant lost profits, lost control, lost prestige for the so-called master race of the galaxy. The ship's hull began to buckle under the relentless bombardment. Sarah Chen stood at her post, trying to coordinate their defense even as systems failed around her. "Emergency pods are ready," she announced. "All personnel prepare for evacuation." But the Draconians weren't interested in prisoners. Their energy beams sliced through the escape pods before they could launch. They wanted no witnesses, no survivors, no one to tell the galaxy what really happened here. Elena found herself in the main lab as the ship died around her. The quantum crystals they had collected were scattered across the floor, their inner light flickering like dying stars. She activated her personal recorder one last time. "This is Dr. Elena Vasquez. If anyone receives this message, know that we came in peace. We followed all the rules. We just wanted to learn and contribute to galactic knowledge. Tell my husband David that I love him. Tell my daughters that Mommy is sorry she won't be coming home." Commander Chen's voice echoed through the ship's intercom one final time. "All crew, it has been an honor serving with you. Remember, we are scientists and diplomats. We came to build bridges, not walls. Don't let our deaths be in vain." The Prometheus broke apart in a flash of white light. 50 brilliant women, 50 irreplaceable minds, 50 beloved family members died in the cold vacuum of space. Their crime had been excellence. Their punishment was death. Admiral Kethvar watched the debris field spread across his view screen. "Mark this in the logs as a navigation accident," he told his crew. "The humans got too close to our mining platforms." But hidden in an asteroid field 30,000 kilometers away, a small quantum beacon pulsed with urgent light. The unbreakable message burst toward Earth carrying video recordings, voice logs, and sensor data. It carried the truth about what happened to the Prometheus and her crew. Most importantly, it carried something the Draconians could never understand. The final words of 50 women who died not as conquerors or warriors, but as explorers and peacemakers. Their last messages to families they would never see again. Their final hope that their deaths might somehow serve a greater purpose. The message would take 6 months to reach Earth. When it arrived, it would change everything. The galaxy had no idea what it had just awakened. The quantum message arrived at Earth Station 1 on a Tuesday morning. The technician who received it was named Robert Kim, Dr. Sarah Kim's younger brother. He had been monitoring deep space communications for 3 years, hoping to hear from his sister's research mission. When the encrypted burst started downloading, Robert thought it was routine scientific data. Then he saw the timestamp. The message was 6 months old. The Prometheus should have sent regular updates every week. Robert's hand shook as he decoded the transmission. First came the ship's logs showing normal operations and excited discoveries. Then came the emergency broadcasts. Finally, the personal messages. 50 women saying goodbye to their families. "Oh God, Sarah," Robert whispered as he heard his sister's voice for the last time. She was trying to protect samples in the cargo bay when the ship started breaking apart. Her final words were about a new species of crystalline bacteria she had discovered. Even facing death, she was thinking about science. The message included everything. Video recordings of the Draconian attack, audio of Admiral Kethvar ordering the destruction of escape pods, sensor data proving the humans had proper authorization to be there. Most damning of all, recordings of Draconian crew members celebrating their pest control operation. Robert immediately contacted the Global Emergency Council. Within hours, the message was in the hands of every world leader. President Elena Rodriguez convened an emergency session of the United Earth Government. In the Great Assembly Hall in Geneva, representatives from every nation watched the final moments of the Prometheus. There was no sound in the chamber except quiet sobbing. These women had been heroes. They were daughters, mothers, wives, sisters, partners. Dr. Elena Vasquez, whose quantum theories had made human space travel possible. Commander Sarah Chen, who had designed the defensive systems that protected Earth's colonies. Ambassador Maria Santos, who had negotiated humanity's entry into the Galactic Empire, all dead. Murdered for the crime of being too successful. President Rodriguez stood at the podium, her face carved from stone. "The Galactic Council has offered us their condolences," she said, her voice cutting through the silence. "They've also offered us compensation. 1 million credits for 50 lives. That works out to 20,000 credits per woman. The cost of a used speeder." Angry murmurs filled the chamber. Rodriguez raised her hand for silence. "Admiral Kethvar claims our people were trespassing. The council says it's a regrettable misunderstanding. They want us to forget this happened and move on." She paused, looking out at the faces before her. "I have a different idea." The president activated a holographic display showing the 50 women. Elena Vasquez, Sarah Chen, Maria Santos. She spoke each name clearly, letting it echo through the chamber. These women died believing in a better future. They died thinking the galaxy was ready for peace and cooperation. They were wrong. Rodriguez's voice grew harder. "The galaxy has shown us what it really thinks of humanity. We're too new, too different, too dangerous to their established order. Well, they're about to learn just how dangerous we can be." The president announced humanity's immediate withdrawal from the Galactic Empire. More importantly, she announced Project Vindication, a massive mobilization of Earth's resources for one purpose: making sure the 50 women did not die in vain. What the galaxy didn't know was that humanity had been preparing for this moment since joining the Empire. While other species became comfortable with Imperial technology, humans had kept innovating. Secret research facilities had been developing new weapons, new ships, new ways of moving through space. Dr. Elena Vasquez's final research transmission contained more than just goodbye messages. Hidden in the quantum crystal data were revolutionary equations that unlocked new possibilities. Her husband David, himself a brilliant physicist, decoded her work with tears streaming down his face. "She did it," he whispered to his daughters. "Even dying, Mommy found a way to help us." The equations showed how to fold space-time around quantum crystals, creating weapons that could ignore energy shields. They revealed how to link multiple ships through quantum entanglement, allowing perfect coordination across vast distances. Most importantly, they explained how to build faster-than-light missiles that arrived at their targets before they were fired. Earth's military-industrial complex, dormant since the end of global wars, roared back to life. Every nation contributed. The asteroid belt became a massive shipyard, hidden in the shadows between Mars and Jupiter. Luna's dark side housed training facilities for new ship crews. Mars became a fortress world dedicated to weapons research. The families of the 50 women became the faces of humanity's transformation. David Vasquez led a team of scientists developing quantum weapons. Lisa Chen, Sarah's sister and a captain in Earth's Space Navy, took command of the new fleet's tactical development. Maria Santos's parents mortgaged their house to fund refugee programs for alien species oppressed by the Empire. But the real change was in humanity's heart. The recordings of the 50 women played on every news channel, every social media feed, every public address system. Children learned their names in school. Workers painted their faces on factory walls. Soldiers carved their initials into ship hulls. This wasn't a war for territory or resources. This was personal. Earth's shipyards worked around the clock. New vessels emerged daily, each one incorporating lessons learned from the Prometheus disaster. These weren't exploration ships built for peace. They were instruments of war, designed by people who had seen their best and brightest murdered for trying to make the galaxy better. The flagship was named Elena Vasquez. Captain Lisa Chen would command her personally. Behind her would come 49 more ships, each bearing the name of a woman who died believing in peace but who would be remembered for war. Intelligence networks that had been quietly observing the Empire for years suddenly activated. Human diplomats who had seemed harmless began collecting information about draconian military bases, trade routes, and political weaknesses. The galaxy had dismissed humanity as naive newcomers. That dismissal was about to become their greatest mistake. Ambassador Maria Santos's replacement at the Galactic Council was a man named James Wright, Dr. Lisa Wright's father. He had trained as a diplomat, but served as a soldier before taking up peace. When the council offered their standard platitudes about the unfortunate incident, Wright smiled politely and asked detailed questions about draconian territorial claims. The council members thought he was preparing some kind of legal challenge. They had no idea he was gathering target lists. 18 months after the massacre, humanity was ready. 2,000 ships had been built in secret. 50,000 crew members had trained in tactics the galaxy had never seen. Most importantly, every human ship carried copies of the quantum beacon recordings. Every soldier knew the names of the 50 women. Every captain understood that this wasn't conquest. It was justice. President Rodriguez gave one final address before the fleet launched. She stood before a memorial wall containing holographic images of all 50 women, their faces smiling with hope and determination. Elena Vasquez came in peace, the president said. She died in terror. Sarah Chen built bridges between species. She died protecting her crew. Maria Santos believed in diplomacy and understanding. She died begging for mercy that never came. Rodriguez turned to face the cameras that would broadcast her words. Across Earth and to the hidden fleet waiting in deep space, the galaxy taught them that hope was weakness, that peace was surrender, that humanity's place was at the bottom of the food chain. Her voice grew cold. Today we teach the galaxy something different. We teach them that killing innocents has consequences. We teach them that underestimating humanity is fatal. The memorial wall behind her flickered, showing the final moments of the Prometheus. 50 women facing death with courage and dignity. Remember their names, Rodriguez commanded. Remember their dreams. Remember that they died believing in a better galaxy. Today we build that galaxy, one draconian ship at a time. The transmission ended. Across human space, quantum gates opened simultaneously. 2,000 ships emerged from fold space at 50 different locations across draconian territory. The war for the 50 had begun. Admiral Kethavar was enjoying his morning meal when the alerts started screaming. The old Draconian had spent 40 years conquering lesser species for the Empire. He expected this day to be like any other, reviewing reports, counting profits from quantum crystal mining, perhaps ordering the execution of a few rebellious slaves. Admiral, his aide burst into the command chamber. Human ships. Hundreds of them. Kethavar laughed, showing rows of sharp teeth. Impossible. The humans have maybe 20 ships in their entire fleet. Sir, they're everywhere. Our listening posts are going dark across 50 systems. They're not asking for surrender. They're not even talking. They're just attacking. The Admiral's blood ran cold. He rushed to the tactical center where his staff huddled around scanning displays. Red dots marked human fleet positions across Draconian space. There weren't dozens of ships. There were thousands. Get me a communication channel to the human fleet, Kethavar ordered. We've tried, sir. They're jamming all frequencies except one. They're broadcasting something on repeat. Put it on screen. The display flickered to life, showing the bridge of a human ship. A woman in a crisp blue uniform stood at attention. Captain Lisa Chen had her sister's eyes, but none of her gentleness. This is Captain Lisa Chen of the Terran Commonwealth vessel Elena Vasquez, she said calmly. 18 months ago, you murdered 50 innocent women. You called them pests. You laughed about pest control. Her voice never changed tone, but something deadly lurked behind her words. Today we exterminate the real pests. The transmission ended. Around Kethavar, his officers stared in shock. Battle stations. The Admiral roared. Launch all fighters. Signal the home fleet. But the human attack had already begun. The first target was the Draconian mining station at Vega 7. 3 massive platforms orbited the gas giant, processing quantum crystals with slave labor from a dozen species. The station commander, Captain Skulthron, commanded over 200 defensive satellites and a garrison of 10,000 troops. 15 human ships dropped out of quantum fold space around the station. They should have been easy targets for the defensive grid. Instead, something impossible happened. The human weapons went straight through the energy shields. Concentrated quantum beams sliced through draconian armor like it wasn't there. The defensive satellites exploded in sequence, each one destroyed before it could return fire. Impossible, Skulthron hissed. Nothing can penetrate our shields. His tactical officer's voice shook. Sir, they're using some kind of quantum tunneling effect. The energy bypasses our defenses entirely. The human ships moved with perfect coordination. When one vessel moved left, 14 others adjusted their positions instantly. When one ship targeted a specific platform, the others provided covering fire without being asked. It was like they were controlled by a single mind. Captain Chen's voice echoed across the station's communication system. Attention slaves of Vega 7, you are free. Evacuation ships are standing by. Anyone who resists liberation will be treated as an enemy. The slave workers, mostly reptilian saurians and insectoid chitinians, couldn't believe what they were hearing. Freedom was a concept they had forgotten, but as draconian guards started falling to precise human weapon fire, hope began to flicker in alien hearts. Within 2 hours, Vega 7 was under human control. The mining platforms were intact but empty. Every slave had been evacuated. Every draconian soldier was either dead or wished he was. Similar scenes played out across 50 systems. The draconians had expected human retaliation, maybe a desperate attack on 1 or 2 border worlds. Instead, they faced a coordinated assault that targeted every major installation simultaneously. The quantum crystal processing facility at Rigel fell in 30 minutes. The shipyard at Altair was captured intact, after the human fleet demonstrated they could destroy the orbital platforms faster than the Draconians could evacuate them. The trade hub at Deneb simply surrendered when faced with 20 human warships that appeared without warning. But the real terror came from the humans' learning ability. Every battle made them more efficient. Captured Draconian equipment was analyzed and countered within hours. Weaknesses in alien ship designs were shared across the entire human fleet in real time. Through quantum entanglement communication, Admiral Kethvar watched his empire crumble from his flagship's command center. Reports flooded in from every corner of Draconian space. Human forces were advancing on 3 fronts, destroying military targets while carefully preserving civilian infrastructure. They weren't conquering, they were liberating. They're using our own quantum crystals against us, his science advisor reported. Somehow they've learned to manipulate the quantum field in ways we never imagined. Kethavar studied the tactical display. The human advance was too coordinated, too perfect. How many ships do they have? Best estimate is 2,000 vessels, sir. All of them using technology we've never seen before. 2,000 ships. In 18 months, humanity had built a fleet larger than most imperial species maintained. More frightening, every human vessel was more advanced than anything in the Draconian Navy. Sir, his communications officer called. The human fleet is approaching our home system. They're requesting your personal surrender. Put them through. Captain Chen appeared on the main screen again. Behind her, Kethavar could see other human officers. They all wore expressions of cold professionalism. Admiral Kethvar, Chen said, I have a message for you from the 50 women you murdered. The display changed to show the final moments of the Prometheus. Kethavar watched his own ships destroying escape pods. He heard his own voice ordering the deaths of civilians. For the first time in his life, the old warrior felt fear. You called them pests, Chen continued. You laughed about pest control. Now you'll learn what real extermination looks like. The human fleet emerged from quantum fold space around the Draconian homeworld like avenging angels. 50 ships led the formation, each one named for a murdered woman. The Elena Vasquez took point, followed by the Sarah Chen, the Maria Santos, and 47 others. The Draconian home fleet was waiting. 300 warships, including some of the most powerful vessels in the galaxy. They had numerical superiority and were fighting for their homeworld. It should have been enough, it wasn't. The humans unveiled their most terrifying weapon, ships that existed in quantum superposition. The vessels flickered in and out of reality, appearing in multiple locations simultaneously, until they chose to solidify for an attack. Draconian targeting systems couldn't lock onto enemies that existed in probability rather than certainty. The Battle of Draconis Prime lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the Draconian home fleet was debris. The orbital defense platforms were silent. The planet's communications arrays broadcast a simple message in 50 languages. This world is under the protection of the Terran Commonwealth. The age of Draconian oppression is over. Admiral Kethvar found himself alone on his flagship's bridge. His crew was dead or fled. His empire was destroyed. His entire military force had been crushed by a species he had dismissed as harmless mammals. Captain Chen materialized on his bridge, having beamed over from her ship. She carried a simple sidearm and wore the same calm expression she had maintained throughout the battle. Admiral, she said politely, you're under arrest for crimes against sentient life. Kethavar drew his ceremonial sword. Even in defeat, he was a warrior of the Draconian Empire. I will not surrender to mammals. Chen didn't even draw her weapon. That's your choice. But before you die, I want you to understand something. Those 50 women came in peace. They wanted to work with you, learn from you, build something better together. You killed them because you were afraid of what humanity might become. The old admiral snarled and raised his blade. Now you know what we became. Chen finished. The quantum beam struck Kethvar's center mass. He had time for one final thought before death claimed him. Humanity hadn't just defeated the Draconian Empire. They had made it irrelevant. Across the galaxy, other species watched the reports with growing alarm. The humans had won more than a military victory. They had demonstrated that the established order could be broken, that oppressors could be held accountable, that the age of might making right was ending. The 50 women had died believing in peace. In their memory, humanity had waged the most devastating war in galactic history. Now came the hard part, building something better from the ashes. News of the Draconian Empire's destruction spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Species that had dismissed humans as weak newcomers suddenly found themselves studying tactical reports that seemed impossible. 2,000 human ships had defeated the galaxy's third largest military power in less than 6 months. High Counselor Vrathak of the Crystalline Confederacy read the intelligence reports with growing alarm. The geometric beings prided themselves on mathematical precision and logical thinking. Nothing about the human campaign made sense from a tactical standpoint. They should have lost, he told his war council. The Draconians had superior numbers, established supply lines and defensive positions. Yet the humans crushed them completely. General Tetradex gestured with one of her crystal appendages, creating mathematical equations in the air. Analysis shows the humans achieved perfect coordination across their entire fleet. Each ship knew exactly what every other ship was doing at all times. They fought as a single organism. Impossible. No species can maintain quantum entanglement communication across hundreds of ships during combat. The humans can. They've developed quantum technology far beyond anything we've seen. More disturbing, they're sharing this technology with every species they liberate from draconian control. Vrathak studied the tactical displays. Red zones marked former draconian territory now under human protection. Entire star systems were being transformed from slave camps into free worlds. What do the humans want? That's the terrifying part, Tetradex replied. They don't seem to want anything. They're not demanding tribute or territory. They're just freeing slaves and building infrastructure. Across the galaxy, the Galactic Council met in emergency session. Representatives from 600 species filled the Great Chamber on Galactic Prime. For 3,000 years, this body had maintained order through careful balance of power between the major empires. Humanity had just shattered that balance completely. Supreme Chancellor, Mortan called for order as debates raged across the chamber. The ancient ethereal being had guided galactic politics for 8 centuries. He had never seen anything like the current crisis. The human ambassador requests to address this body, Mortan announced. Ambassador James Wright took the podium. He was an older man with gray hair and calm eyes. He had served as a soldier, a diplomat, and a father who lost his daughter to draconian brutality. His voice carried quiet authority. Honored representatives, Wright began. 18 months ago, you watched 50 innocent human women die and called it an acceptable loss. You offered us sympathy and small compensation. You told us to move on and forget. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Wright raised his hand for silence. We chose to remember instead. Every human ship carries the names of those 50 women. Every human soldier knows their stories. They died believing the galaxy was ready for peace and cooperation. You proved them wrong, Chancellor Mortan interrupted. Ambassador Wright, humanity's actions have destabilized the entire galactic order. Your species has violated every law of civilized warfare. Wright's expression didn't change. What laws? The same laws that allowed Admiral Kethvar to murder civilians and face no consequences? The same laws that permit slavery, genocide, and oppression as long as the paperwork is filed correctly? He activated a holographic display showing liberated worlds. These are the systems formerly under draconian control. Every slave has been freed. Every species has been given self-governance. Trade is flowing freely for the first time in centuries. Tell me, Chancellor, which part of this violates civilized law? From the Avian Hierarchy section, War Leader Scareth rose to speak. The massive bird-like being commanded the Empire's largest military force. The humans have upset the balance of power. Their technology threatens every established government. Good, Wright replied simply. If your government depends on oppressing others, it deserves to be threatened. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Representatives demanded sanctions against humanity. Some called for military action. Others argued for immediate negotiations. Wright waited for quiet, then continued. The Terran Commonwealth offers friendship to any species that wants it. We'll share our technology freely with anyone committed to peace and freedom. We'll protect any world that asks for protection. His voice grew harder. But we will never again allow innocents to be murdered while bureaucrats debate appropriate responses. Chancellor Morthan tried to regain control of the session. The Council demands immediate cessation of human military operations. The Council has no authority over the Terran Commonwealth, Wright replied. We withdrew from the Galactic Empire, remember? You chose bureaucracy over justice. We chose justice over your approval. The ambassador left the chamber as debates raged behind him. Within hours, intelligence reports reached Earth. The Crystalline Confederacy was mobilizing its geometric fleet. The avian hierarchy was calling up reserves. A dozen smaller empires were forming coalitions against humanity. President Rodriguez received the reports in her office overlooking Lake Geneva. Through the windows, she could see construction crews building monuments to the 50 women. Each memorial contained quantum crystals that pulsed with inner light. A reminder that their sacrifice had changed everything. How many ships are they gathering? She asked General Harrison, Earth's military commander. Best estimate is 1,500 vessels from the Confederacy alone. The avians are contributing another 800. Add in the smaller empires, and we're looking at 3,000 ships minimum. Rodriguez studied the tactical displays. Can we match those numbers? Not in ships. But Captain Chen reports that our quantum weaponry has improved significantly. We've analyzed captured technology from dozens of species. Each battle teaches us more about galactic military doctrine. The president nodded. What about our new allies? 47 species have formally requested Commonwealth protection. Most are former draconian slaves, but some are established powers who see which way the wind is blowing. They're contributing ships and crews to our fleet. Rodriguez smiled grimly. The galaxy wanted to teach humanity its place. Instead, we're teaching them that their place was never guaranteed. The coalition forces gathered at the neutral system of Nexus Point, where 3 major trade routes intersected. General Tetradex commanded the crystalline ships, their faceted hulls reflecting starlight in complex patterns. War leader Scareth led the avian formations, thousands of sleek vessels that moved like flocks of metallic birds. The plan was simple. Overwhelm the humans with superior numbers and force them to negotiate. The coalition leaders expected a conventional battle where their 3-to-1 advantage would prove decisive. They were about to learn why. Conventional thinking had failed. Every species that faced humanity, Captain Chen's fleet approached. Nexus Point with only 400 ships. Intelligence reports suggested she was vastly outnumbered and should retreat to fight another day. Instead, the Elena Vasquez led her formation straight toward the coalition fleet. Open a channel to all ships, Chen ordered. The communication went out to both fleets simultaneously. Chen appeared on every screen, standing calmly on her bridge. Behind her, holographic displays showed the faces of the 50 murdered women. Coalition forces, she said formally. You have gathered here to punish humanity for refusing to accept injustice. You represent the old way of thinking. That might makes right that the strong should rule the weak, that some species matter more than others. She gestured to the images behind her. These women believed in a better galaxy. They died trying to build bridges between species. You called their deaths acceptable losses. Chen's voice grew colder. Today you become acceptable losses. The human fleet began to change. Ships that had appeared solid suddenly flickered, existing in multiple positions simultaneously. Quantum mechanics allowed them to be in several places at once until they chose to collapse. Their wave functions into reality. General Tetradex watched, in horror as her targeting. Computers tried to lock onto enemies that existed in probability rather than certainty. All ships begin random firing patterns, saturate the space they might occupy. But the humans had learned more than quantum superposition. They had mastered something even more dangerous. Chaos theory weaponry. Energy beams that followed unpredictable paths, seeking out weak points in enemy formations. Missiles that changed targets mid-flight based on constantly evolving algorithms. The coalition's mathematical precision became a liability. Their carefully coordinated formations were designed to handle predictable threats. They couldn't adapt to weapons that deliberately embraced randomness and uncertainty. War leader Scareth tried to rally his forces as human quantum beams sliced through his formation. "Maintain discipline. Follow standard attack protocols." Captain Chen's response came over the open channel. "Your protocols are 3,000 years old. Our technology was born from the deaths of innocents. Which do you think adapts faster?" The Battle of Nexus Point lasted 8 hours. When it ended, the largest military coalition in galactic history had been shattered. Most ships limped away damaged. Hundreds were destroyed. The survivors carried a message that would echo across known space. Humanity could not be defeated by conventional means. More importantly, the battle proved that the old order was truly dead. Species that had dominated the galaxy for 2 years after the massacre of the Prometheus, the galaxy had changed beyond recognition. Where once the Draconian Empire had ruled through fear, free worlds now governed themselves. Where slave camps had processed quantum crystals, research stations shared knowledge freely. Where military might had settled disputes, diplomatic councils sought peaceful solutions. President Rodriguez stood in the memorial chamber on Earth Station Alpha, humanity's new orbital capital. Before her stretched a curved wall containing 50 quantum crystals, each one pulsing with inner light. Holographic images showed the faces of the women who had died believing in peace, but whose sacrifice had brought war. Dr. Elena Vasquez smiled from her crystal, frozen in a moment of scientific discovery. Commander Sarah Chen stood proud in her military uniform. Ambassador Maria Santos radiated the warmth that had made her such an effective diplomat. 47 other faces looked back at Rodriguez, teachers, engineers, doctors, mothers, daughters, sisters who had changed the galaxy simply by dying for their beliefs. 2 years, Rodriguez whispered. 2 years since you left us. I wonder what you'd think of what we've become. Behind her, footsteps echoed on the memorial chamber's polished floor. Admiral Lisa Chen entered, still wearing the blue uniform of the Commonwealth Navy. She had aged in the past months, carrying the weight of humanity's transformation from peaceful explorers to galactic guardians. "The trials are finished," Lisa reported. "Admiral Kethvar's surviving officers have been sentenced." The evidence was overwhelming. Rodriguez nodded. The war crimes trials had been broadcast across the galaxy, showing the galaxy's first example of true justice. Not victor's justice or political theater, but genuine accountability for crimes against innocent life. What about the Draconian civilians? Most have requested Commonwealth citizenship. They're tired of living under military rule. The younger generation especially seems eager to build something new. Through the memorial chamber's windows, Earth hung like a blue jewel against the stars. Ships from dozens of species moved through the orbital traffic patterns, human vessels alongside Saurian freighters, Kytenian research ships, and even some reformed Draconian civilian craft. "Admiral," Rodriguez said formally, "I have a question for you. Was it worth it?" Lisa Chen looked at her sister's crystal, remembering Sarah's excitement about quantum bacteria and her dreams of peaceful cooperation between species. They came in peace. They died in terror. But their deaths made possible everything we've built since. Rodriguez activated the chamber's central display, showing a map of known space. Green zones marked Commonwealth worlds and protectorates. Yellow showed neutral species that maintained friendly relations. Red indicated the few remaining hostile empires, mostly in distant sectors. 47 species have joined the Commonwealth voluntarily, Rodriguez noted. Another 130 have signed friendship treaties. Trade is flowing freely for the first time in galactic history. And our enemies? The Void Imperium continues to raid border worlds, but they're too far away to pose a serious threat. The Shadow Collective maintains their policy of isolation. The crystal hierarchies are split. Some factions want to join us, others still resist change. Lisa studied the map carefully. What about Earth's population? Are they ready for this responsibility? Rodriguez smiled sadly. 18 months ago, Earth was a single world reaching for the stars. Today, we're responsible for the freedom and safety of billions of beings across hundreds of worlds. Some days, I'm not sure any of us are ready. She walked to Elena Vasquez's crystal, placing her hand against the warm quantum matrix. But I think about her equations. How she found a way to fold space-time itself. If one woman's final thoughts could revolutionize galactic technology, imagine what all of humanity can accomplish working together. A soft chime indicated an incoming priority message. Rodriguez accepted the transmission and Ambassador Wright appeared as a hologram. He looked tired but satisfied. "Madam President, I'm transmitting from the new Galactic Assembly. We have unanimous approval for the Commonwealth Charter." Rodriguez raised an eyebrow. Unanimous? Even the holdouts agreed? The economic benefits were too obvious to ignore. Free trade, shared technology, protection against raiders. Most species can't afford to stay outside the Commonwealth system. Those that do stay independent are welcome to peaceful relations. The ambassador paused, then continued with a slight smile. "There's something else." The Assembly voted to create a memorial to the 50 women. Not just humans, but all member species contributed to the design. They want to place it at Nexus Point, where the old galactic order was finally broken. Rodriguez felt tears forming. What will it say? Elena Vasquez, Sarah Chen, Maria Santos. Wright's voice grew solemn as he recited all 50 names. Beneath them, they came seeking knowledge and peace. Their sacrifice taught the galaxy the price of injustice and the power of unity. The transmission ended, leaving Rodriguez and Lisa alone with the memorial crystals. Outside the windows, a new ship was arriving. The Prometheus II, a massive research vessel crewed by volunteers from 30 different species. Its mission was to continue the work the original 50 women had started, building bridges between species through science and cooperation. "Admiral," Rodriguez said finally, "I want you to establish the Memorial Fleet as a permanent institution. 50 ships, one for each woman. Their mission will be to respond to threats against Commonwealth worlds and to protect any innocent beings who ask for help." Lisa nodded. "What about command structure?" "Each ship will be captained by a family member of one of the 50 women. David Vasquez is already training for command of the Elena Vasquez. Maria Santos's nephew has requested the Maria Santos. They'll carry forward the memory of what we lost and the hope of what we've built." Rodriguez walked to the chamber's central podium, where a quantum communication array connected to every Commonwealth world. When she spoke, her words would be heard across hundreds of star systems. "Citizens of the Commonwealth," she began. 2 years ago, 50 women died because they believed in a better galaxy. They thought the universe was ready for peace, cooperation, and mutual respect. The Galactic Empire proved them wrong through murder and injustice. She gestured to the crystals surrounding her. "But their deaths taught us something the Empire never understood. True strength doesn't come from forcing others to submit. It comes from standing up to bullies and protecting the innocent. True peace doesn't come from accepting injustice. It comes from building something better together." Rodriguez's voice grew stronger. "Today, the Commonwealth includes 47 full-member species and friendly relations with over 100 more. Our ships patrol space not as conquerors but as protectors. Our scientists share knowledge freely. Our diplomats work to prevent conflicts before they start." Through the chamber's windows, she could see construction crews working on the latest addition to Earth Station Alpha, a university where beings from across the galaxy would study together, continuing the mission that Elena Vasquez and her colleagues had died trying to accomplish. The women of the Prometheus came seeking knowledge. They found death instead. But from their sacrifice, we built something they could never have imagined. A galaxy where such senseless murder is no longer tolerated. Where the strong protect the weak instead of exploiting them. Where different species work together instead of fighting for dominance. Rodriguez paused, looking directly into the cameras that broadcast her words across known space. Elena Vasquez used to tell her daughters that every star in the sky was a sun that could warm other worlds. Other civilizations, other dreams. She was right. The light of those 50 women now shines across the galaxy, warming worlds they never lived to see, protecting species they never got to meet. The president's final words echoed through space itself, carried by quantum transmissions to the farthest reaches of known civilization. To any who would threaten the innocent. Remember the 50. Remember that humanity does not forget its martyrs or abandon its principles. We offer friendship to all who want it, protection to all who need it, and justice to all who deserve it. As her speech ended, the 50 crystals in the memorial chamber pulsed in unison, their light visible to every ship in the system. Across the galaxy, similar memorials echoed the pulse, reminding everyone that the age of oppression was ending, and the age of cooperation had begun. The 50 women had died believing in peace. Through their sacrifice, they had given the galaxy something better than peace. They had given it hope. In the quiet of the memorial chamber, Rodriguez whispered the words that had become humanity's unofficial motto. Remember the 50. Build the future they dreamed of. Protect the galaxy they died to save. Outside the windows, ships from dozens of worlds moved in harmony through space, carrying trade, knowledge, and hope to every corner of known civilization. The galaxy Elena Vasquez and her colleagues had dreamed of was finally becoming real. IA.